These tones of our producer extraordinaire. There's Jimothy, my brother from another mother. What up, dude?
Hello, and good morning, gentlemen. Happy Saturday. Glad to be here.
Hey, happy Saturday to you as well. Good to see you as always, my friend.
Good to see you too, man.
And you ready to rock and roll for a couple hours?
Oh, yeah, let's do it, baby.
Just making sure. We're live on this 28th of March, if you're wondering. Johnny C, that's me, your old buddy, your old pal, your air traffic control. Let's get your starting lineup on a Saturday morning. It's been a little while since I've said good morning and welcome to the guy with the name on the sign. That's right. You go to the big dog when you can. From the law office of Paul A. Krasker, there he is. It's Paul Krasker in studio. How are you, my friend?
That's great.
Nice
Doing well. How about you?
I'm really well. Great to have you in studio. You know, you got cameras on you everywhere at this point. Right?
Oh, it's crazy. And the lights, too.
Yeah. Oh, it's professional setup.
Shines off my forehead.
Mine too. That's why I wear a hat. Good to see you as always. And of course, it's that time of year. It hasn't been that long since we said good Saturday morning to Jared Perry, Perry Group CPA LLC. What's up, my dude? And welcome back in studio. Although it feels like it was maybe just like a month ago.
I think it was. It wasn't that long ago, but it's great to be here. It's definitely that time of the year.
It is that time of the year where I start anticipating some Jared time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about.
Yeah, it is Jared time right now.
It's Jared time. It's always Jared time. But it's good to see you, and I'm glad to know you could find some time to come to see us. What's going on there, Jimmy D? What's going on?
No headphones.
Oh, I was gonna fix it for you in a second.
Oh.
Yeah. Here we go. Hold on.
I don't know what to
Go ahead. You're good. I'm turning your volume down.
Yeah, that was up.
You should be good there now. A little better. A little bit better.
Oh,
Is that cool? All right.
you're awesome.
Yeah. I just didn't want to do it in the middle of the introduction. I didn't know what you were freaking out about, but yeah, we have a master control, and the master control got turned down a little bit. There he is, our fearless leader. That's Jimmy D over there. He couldn't hear at first, but he can hear now, and he can see clearly because the rain is gone. He's running a top producer in Keller Williams team, the Florida Home Pros team, Keller Williams Innovations. Jimmy D, there's Jim DePola. How you be?
Hey, good. Happy South Florida, everybody. I feel like this is a special edition that we have Jared Perry and Paul Krasker on at the same time.
I know. When I walked in, I was like, am I dying?
It's also, right? We got like this special lineup. Nothing against Mike and Ross, right?
No. But I was like, I think this might be my wake. This is the start of my wake.
Yeah.
Probate and your final tax.
Yeah, I was like, here it is.
Yeah.
This is the end.
Yeah, we can take care of the probate and everything right
Cue the doors right now.
So we got so much to talk about today. I'm so glad that Jared's here. We're going to be talking about saving money on your capital gains taxes and deferring capital gains taxes. Everything okay, Jimmy?
Yep.
I want to all on black. He's picking up some kind of roulette table.
Yeah, the roulette wheel.
Yeah, all on black.
That's for the Greek festivities giveaways during the penthouse.
Oh, that's it. Oh, that's so he rolls it.
I guess that's their game now.
Yeah.
They like to just you spin the roulette wheel, which could be painful. You could go 20 minutes without somebody winning. Can you imagine?
Oh, really?
Can you imagine that
Oh,
over and
I
over on the
guess- no,
radio?
no.
I can't.
They got to come up with a better idea. So we're going to be talking about how to save tons of money on capital gains. And this isn't just for super wealthy people, as Jared's going to explain in a little bit. We're also going to be talking about the three things you need to know if you're buying in Florida and you never bought in Florida. We have so many people that are looking from up north and out west that are thinking about moving to Florida. And there's a lot of things that they don't know how things handle. One of the things, Paul, that one of the questions we get all the time, you don't need an attorney to close the deal. Like up in New York, you got to have an attorney involved. And they're like, no attorneys. I'm like, we're Florida. You don't have to have an attorney. Although I dealt with a bunch of attorneys this week, I wanted to talk about, I had a magistrate hearing, Paul, where the customer had a $670,200 code enforcement fine from the city of West Palm Beach.
Yep.
And I went to the magistrate hearing with the customer, and the house, we're selling it for $450, right? So the magistrate said basically that they felt that the city's offer of a 10%, dropping the fines down to 10%, $67,000, was very, very fair. And I asked the customer to hire an attorney because I felt like this would be super easy to get down to zero. But she chose not to do that. So I went to the hearing just to support her. And then the judge said a couple of things that didn't the magistrate said a couple of things I didn't agree with that weren't factually correct, that the code enforcement board just kind of neglected to mention. So I went up there and I was like, you gave improper notice for 6,702 days. And I did research and she pulled 3 permits since this fine has been going on, all certified occupancy permits. And you did everything. Even one was a code enforcement request to fix a fence. And you never told her that there was this fine accruing for 6,702 days, which she didn't start. It happened to the previous owner. So what do you think we got the fine reduced to?
5%.
$10,000.
Okay.
So that was pretty good, right?
Yeah.
So I played my little Perry Mason that day.
Yeah.
I kept saying to people, I'm not an attorney. But anyway, it was really good. So congratulations.
What's the difference between a magistrate and a judge?
That's a good question because I kept saying Your Honor. So,
Yeah, a magistrate is just appointed by an administrative body where a judge is appointed by the executive branch.
Okay.
But it serves the same purpose. And the special magistrate is more like a small claims court judge where you're supposed to follow the rules, but there's a lot of equity that they're allowed to do. And it's basically the city's way of negotiating and conditionally settling with people.
Interesting. So magistrates, in a way, have a little bit more leeway versus a little more gray area in a way.
Yeah, and it's usually not for legal issues; it's for administrative issues like a fine or, and they use magistrates in court as well. So especially in the family law area where everything's so factual based that the judge just doesn't have time to sit and listen to, in the judge's view, garbage. He wants to, or she wants to, make a ruling. And so they'll refer it to a special magistrate and let the special magistrate sift through all the facts, read all the papers, make their finding subject to the judge's approval.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Very interesting. So that was attorney issue number 1 for me, right? Or legal issue number 1. Legal issue number 2. Congratulations to Noelke and Vanessa. They closed on their house yesterday. I'm so happy for them.
Very nice.
Yes. And
Shout out.
Paul's because I had a brand new roof put on in February 2026. The owners went to make the final payment of $600 on about a $22,000 roof and found out that the roofer went bankrupt and there was nobody to pay and the permits weren't closed out yet. Isn't that fun?
That's a good one.
Well, shout out to Trident Title. Trident Title was working the file, thank God. A lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, a lot of texting over several days with the underwriter for the insurance and all that. Everything worked out great. So Noelke and Vanessa got their keys yesterday. They're
Awesome.
protected that. And on top of it, in between the closing, a subcontractor filed a lien on the property because while the owners had paid the roofer didn't pay all the subs. So Paul gave me some free advice, if you want to say that, or insight on what to do. I reached out to him and he told me, and try to take care of all of it. So,
Okay.
And one of the things that there's something I learned about that, Paul, that I think people should know. You mentioned something that contractors have 90 days after the permit's closed out to put the lien on the property.
And 90 days from the last day of work.
Last day of work.
Yes.
And how do you know? Well, that would be a legal thing to document what that last day is.
Exactly.
Okay. But after that, so they can't come haunt you for like 6 months now and throw it back on, throw a lien.
It's funny. I was at the office last night till about 6:30 on the phone with 3 attorneys trying to figure out a problem. And just what we're talking about was the issue is you've got people who a subcontractor comes onto the property 6 months after he finishes his job to do quote unquote warranty work. And he comes for one day and he recocks something that was leaking. And then he turns back and says, well, that was my last day. Now I have 90 more days to file a lien on work that I did 6 months ago.
Right. Well, interesting. Isn't it interesting?
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's pretty wild.
That's yuck.
That's pretty wild.
Contractors don't care what the law is.
Mm-hmm.
They just figure they'll file the lien and you'll have to work it out. And it's cheaper for them to get paid than to hire an attorney and fight about it. So
Yep. We were very lucky on this case because the sellers had already decided to hire an attorney just to handle the closing, even though they had a really great agent. And thank God, because the thing popped up and the attorney gave the sellers great advice on how to get the deal closed because they really wanted it closed. My buyers, got understandably very concerned because they were worried what happens if other people start putting liens on the property we don't know about after we bought. That's why Paul was so helpful
Right.
to me to give me insight on that. But that's what I love about real estate. Everything's different every day, right?
Snowflakes,
Like every
baby.
day it's something different.
Snowflakes.
and it's interesting. You talk about northern buyers and West Coast buyers, and they all have an assessment that I need a lawyer to close a deal. And most of them are told by their realtors, no, you don't. And it's not for the reason that Jim says, because Jim's open with them. Most of them don't want lawyers to get involved because they don't want their deal to slow down or lawyers to find problems to solve. And, but the reality is they can solve the problems. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's going to catch up with them later if they don't take care of it on the front end. It's probably going to be more expensive too.
And I'm always honest with people when they say, do I need a lawyer? And I say, you don't need a lawyer. I think you should have a lawyer.
100%. Yeah.
But, 80% of the time, I might catch a little thing here or there. I might be able to save you $1,000 on the closing statement. But 80% of the time, you might not have needed me.
Yeah, but you got that reassurance that it was done right.
And
Nothing's
that
going to come back.
20% of the time was going to cost you so much money
Exactly,
on the back end.
Exactly. And so shout out.
So if you frame it that way, you're like, well, 1 out of 5 times you're going to need me desperately. Good. Well, all right, let's go. Where do we sign?
What's
Paul?
this little wheel right here?
Yeah, exactly. You like gambling? No, it's fascinating. 877-927-6969. You're always welcome to join us. Of course, if you're not comfortable on the radio, always remember FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
Thank you. Just another shout out to Laura. I'm so happy. This is such a happy story. Laura came to me with her son. They were living together in a mobile home for a while. And Josh, the son, works for one of the unions down here. He's a teacher at one of the unions, contractor union. Fell in love. He's a young kid, fell in love. Decided it's time to move out and separate. But they were really tough because the budget they were on were very, very tough for both of them. And they also both didn't have a lot of down payment money, and it was going to be very, very difficult. But both of them were so determined to be homeowners, right? And so, very interesting story. So we put Josh under contract for a property, and with Laura, she found a property in Tampa that was really good value for the money compared to what she can get here. And I said, I know you don't want to move to Tampa, but if you can, that might be the best thing for you if you really want to buy and not rent. And I usually don't give up, but this was a really tough one. I had to be honest with her. So anyway, Josh goes into contract. We knew there were polybutylene pipes in the house, but we were going to deal with that on the back end, but everybody knew. And we got the whole thing done. And then the house didn't appraise by $22,000. And it was a very low budget, so this $22,000 was a big percentage of the sale of the home. So he didn't have enough money to come to the table to make up the difference. So he backs out of the contract. The next day I find a new home, get him in the contract on that. And then the mom calls and said, since the appraised value came at an X, I want to buy it.
Really?
Yeah. So I had to call up the agent, who was very upset with me that we had backed out of the first contract. And I'm calling her up 2 days later. I'm like, hey, if you haven't sold the house yet and you're willing to sell it for the appraised value, we have a customer. And they're like, who's the mortgage person? And
Same
I'm like,
one.
the same person, Mike, right? Because Mike was the mortgage person for that. And they're
Good
like,
news, we can use the appraisal.
and I'm like, and it was really tough. It was a very tough thing, but it was a good match for everybody. Laura did not get to see the house till the day of the final walkthrough.
Oh, kidding.
Swear my hand to God. And I've done that before, Paul. right?
Really?
Yes, I've sold a lot of houses to U.S. Coast Guard members back in the day. I had a little pipeline of the people stationed in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
and they would, if they had families, for some reason they didn't want to live on the base in Miami. So they were calling, I got a reputation over there, and they would call me as the sight unseen guy, and I would go down, look at the houses for them, give them videos with flip phones. Remember the flip phones back
Sure.
then, right?
I miss 'em.
Because you didn't have regular phones to do that.
Going back to it.
And I would do the flip phone thing, and I wouldn't just give it to them the salesy video. I would look at all the defects and everything of the house, and then I'd send out to, and I would get them in contract if they liked it. Had a long inspection period so they could fly in and see if they liked the house. I only had one person that turned down the house and flew back, and we got them another one. Everybody else bought the first one.
Wow.
So Laura turns the key. She had never seen the house before in person, and she turns the key. I'm getting tingles because she was just full, so full of energy, right? Just happiness.
That's awesome.
And it was a bright and airy unit. It's a really good unit.
Cool.
She'll have many, many happy years there. So
Yay.
congratulations to Laura. I was really happy
Yeah,
for
that's
that.
awesome.
She
Yeah,
gets to
isn't that
stay
cool?
near her son.
Yeah, and she's like a
Great.
quarter mile away from her son, and they were planning on having a child soon, so she got built-in babysitter grandma right around the
Nice.
corner.
Nice.
And Josh was able to buy his home where we got, not only did we get down payment assistance for both of them, Laura paid less than first-class security to move into that house and has an affordable mortgage payment. And it's
Beautiful.
less than if she had to rent. She put down less money out of pocket, all out of the pocket costs were under $5,000 for her to move into that
Come on.
place. And then Josh, he got down payment assistance, and we got a $5,000 credit from the seller.
Wow.
And the house appraised at the value higher than the value we're under contract for. So he has a little extra squeak of equity in there that
Yeah,
he,
Can't
you
beat
know.
that.
Instant.
So I was so glad. I remember Mike when he called me up, and he says, "I don't know if you want this one," because they were going to be so tough. Now, here's some lessons for buyers that are trying to buy and they're on tight budgets and it's very unaffordable for them out there. The first thing is you have to be creative. You have to be able to give up something. So what both of these families did, what Laura and Josh had to give up, was distance. Because they're on such a low budget, we ended up buying houses for them up in Fort Pierce, right? Now, Josh works in West Palm, but he also spends a lot of time teaching in Port St. Lucie, so that worked out good for him. And Laura Laura works for a law firm down here, and she doesn't mind commuting, but she could also work out of her house a lot.
Nice.
So anyway, congratulations to Laura. Josh is coming up. He's closed it on April 22nd. The only reason why we're waiting is for the sellers, because they have a need to close late, but he's done, ready to go. Can't wait to move into his house.
Oh man, that's
Isn't
good.
that awesome?
Yeah, that works
Yeah.
well.
So that's just a really good one. Hey, it's only, I felt like it's 9:30 already, but it isn't. So let me, I don't want to get into the subjects we're doing at first. So let me get into something else here. Hold on 1 second.
Of course, Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook, on YouTube. The .com is your one-stop shop, the real estate shop known as the one-stop shop, y'all. You get a team of pros. And when you're making the biggest purchase of your life, buying a home, selling a home, you're stuck with that home and you're not quite sure what to do, you need to go to a team. And a team that works cohesively together is the one I recommend. That's why I've been doing this radio show for so long. I think I get up on Saturday morning because I'm like, I just want to get on the radio. No, it's about this team. It's about you, the audience. It's about the potential life change experience. I've experienced it. I have friends and family that have. When you're buying, you're selling, or you're in a real tough spot and you need real guidance, remember FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Know it, use it, love it, share it. You can change lives, including your very own, with the pros of FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
Paul, I wanted to ask you, because it's so great that we have you here, and it's hard to really get a good handle of what's going on in the market with the distress market. And we know, everybody knows here, that Paul is one of the experts, leading authorities on distress market in South Florida. He proved that many times over.
Oh, yeah.
During the last real estate crisis that we had. And that's how we started the show. People keep asking me, I want to buy a foreclosure, I want to buy a short sale.
Me too. Can I do that?
Now, when we start I guess it was 2 years ago, we started looking at how many foreclosures were on the market at any given, and short sales, I'm including both of them together. And when we started, there were like 60 for the whole Tri-County area, like 60 something, right? I'm looking now and we're at 294, right? This is out of 57,000 properties for sale. There's 294 foreclosures and short sales. And that's the whole region. It isn't just one county. This is the regional MLS. Are we in a foreclosure crisis, or when we see the stats on the TikTok-y things, we've just had a 45% increase in foreclosure filings and stuff like that. Is that real or not real? I look at the stats and think it's not really real, but I don't know, and you would know better. Tell us what's really going on in the real world.
Obviously, I can only give you my personal opinion. I could tell you that in the height of the post-crash last year, we were representing anywhere between 450 and 500 people at any one time for distressed property needs. We're up about 350 to 400 now. So that's a real number. That's a big number.
Yeah.
The difference is because of some of the banking changes and because the economy is generally doing well, that many of those aren't hitting the market as distressed properties. So people are having to figure out what else to do. Some of them are going on the market as just an equity sale. They're not making what they wanted to from the property, but they're still not in a short sale situation because they had to put 20% down. The banks weren't giving 100% financing. They weren't giving 120% financing. And the qualification process is a little more stringent today. So many of those are hitting the market as equity sales, and you don't know how desperate they are and that they really need to take any offer. But there's some of those out there that you don't know which ones they are.
Well, so 350, is that statewide, Paul? Or is that just pretty much local?
I think that's Tri-County.
Tri-County, so not all the state, because you do mail
Yeah,
across
we
the
do.
state, right? But it's
We do.
mostly down here.
Yes.
So that's very interesting. Tell me what the most likely scenario of people are that are getting in trouble on their payments right now. Like what are the top three things, if you will, of people that get in trouble right now?
Yeah, you have to remember that we're a society of haves and have-nots today, and there's
For sure.
very few people in between. And so the have-nots are struggling incredibly. Their cost of living has increased significantly in the last 2 years, period. You listen to all the BS that you see on social media and the news. Most of it's canned stuff with people sharing their perspective of what they want people to think. But from my perspective, that group as a whole are really struggling. It's expensive. Everything they do is expensive. Food costs, travel costs, everything, gas.
Yeah.
This is pre-war, but
Yeah. Cost of living's gone up significantly.
so they're struggling there, and a lot of people are losing their jobs. They don't talk about it. They say we're adding all these jobs. I don't see it. The people I talk to don't see it. And AI is replacing a lot of people.
That's interesting to hear because I don't see it, but I have seen for a couple of years now massive hour cutting. Not flat out losing the job, but it does equate oftentimes to losing your job because, well, I can't afford to just have these hours.
Right.
So, you're either adding another job or finding a job that can give you more hours. And sometimes you make a little less money with more hours. It's a weird, as you noted, it's have or have not. And it is super apparent out there right now.
Can I just offer, I'm going to have you come back on at another time to really get in depth about this. But this show was founded on helping people that were in trouble with their mortgages. That's what we started for. And we, through Paul and this show, we talked to hundreds and hundreds. I really think it was thousands, Paul, because you think about the WPTV show and the telethon and everything. We helped a lot of people. And it wasn't cookie cutter. It was all based on helping them to the best way that they could get helped in their situation. In every case, we didn't just cookie cutter it.
No,
We had what we called the waterfall,
Yeah.
right? So if you want, we'd sit down and say, do you want to save the house or do you want to sell the house, right? That was the first thing. Now, back then, people were very upside down. This is what you need to know if you're in trouble with a mortgage. There are people out here right now that can help you and give you free advice, free, to find out what's the best option for you out there and to give you all the alternatives, not just one thing. People know who are like big time fans of the show, been listening a long time. Back in the back before 2012, I got in trouble with my house, and I ended up meeting a bankruptcy attorney, and I filed bankruptcy, and I didn't know about short sales and loan modifications and all kinds of other options for me that were out there. And if I did, I probably wouldn't have done what I did because I was going to somebody who had a hammer and all they wanted to do is hammer everything.
Everything looks like a nail, doesn't it?
Right. But with Paul, and this is why I was so glad when we connected with him for the show, it was almost like kismet, really, in a way, is that we had a way to save the house many different ways. We were able to protect people from scams. Remember all those scams?
Yeah.
I was just talking, Paul, you never knew this, but when we were on the show, we were really getting tons of calls a day on this. I would have people coming to me and saying, I will pay you tens of thousands of dollars a month to have airtime on your show, tens of thousands, right? To be on the show, to say, fight the bank. And you get to keep your house for free. They can't find the mortgage, and wanted me to go on air and start talking about that stuff. And I knew how illegitimate it was, and there was no way I was going to do that.
Yeah, that's not the way we roll.
Yeah, that isn't the way we roll. We stuck with the right way. Paul always and his team, Short Sale Innovations, and all the Longmont people. Back then it was Fabian. Remember, Fabian was
Sure.
there and everything. So if you need help now, it's here. It's free.
Well,
it's
and
available to give you advice.
As Paul noted, it's a different environment, right? It's a different world. The situations are very different that he's seen now. There are a couple of really consistent things, though. One of them is you cannot bury your head in the sand and do nothing. The longer you do that, the worse it gets for you. That is consistent regardless of the issues. Don't do that. Please don't do that. And I think the other is one of the major holdups for many folks to reach out and get hope or advice or an understanding of what your options are is a fear of cost. They're already like, I can't afford anything as is.
Yes.
Right. So those two things usually run parallel. You bury your head in the sand, hoping it goes away because I don't have any money. I can't afford my lifestyle as is. How can I afford to get help or guidance? Well, you can. It's free to understand what your options are. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Find out what your options are for free. It is no cost. Now, clearly, if you start moving the ball forward, there is going to be some cost. Nothing is going to happen all the way for free. But if you have this number in your head, much like people devise on their own when it comes to buying a house, I can't afford that. You don't even know what the numbers are. You're filling in the blanks on your own. Please do not go down that path alone. You are not alone. You have a team ready to work for you and give you options. It's a click away. If you're old school and like a pick up the phone, do it. Call 888-973-7828. That's the hotline. You can find that at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Again, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. On Facebook, on YouTube. Lots of ways to get in touch. The point is to get in touch. Doing nothing is the worst option. It's not an option. Please don't choose that path. You want to do a quick reset?
Absolutely, Johnny. On the flip side, we're going to start talking to Jarrett Perry and talking about ways to save money on capital gains and understanding all that. There's some stuff I don't even understand still yet. So we're all going to get into that.
Lots, actually. There's lots. That's why we go to the pros, y'all. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Know it, use it, love it, share it. You can change lives, including your very own, with the pros of FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. If you're on Facebook and you like and share, you're putting it out there. You don't know. As Paul noted, a lot of people don't talk about losing their jobs, losing their hours. It's not this thing that's kind of communicated to your world. That's why you just push that out there, and you can really be changing somebody's arc with a simple share and a like. We're back in 4 minutes. Thanks for being with us every Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate right here. It's Real Radio.
The bad news, the brain isn't all that great at hearing stuff and remembering it. The good news, you can watch us too. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Real Radio 92.1. Here's what's happening with the weather on Real Radio.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl with CBS 12 News. Temperatures continue to climb. Wind speeds will increase and cloud cover will also increase through this afternoon. That's all ahead of a cold front that will make its way through the area overnight. Unfortunately, it will stall over us, which means that we're going to be stuck with elevated rain chances. Wind speeds also remain elevated through tomorrow as that front stalls.
This report is sponsored by Straight Talk Wireless. Every now and then you find a deal that actually feels like a win. With Straight Talk Wireless, you get more and pay less. Now that's a good deal. No contracts, no credit checks, no surprises, all on Verizon's 5G network. Find it in the same place you've always found straightforward prices, exclusively at Walmart and StreetTalk.com.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rao from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rao will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rao, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Kamaranets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
Yeah, you're always welcome. More than welcome. The red carpet is out. If you're, I like the analogy of the swimming pool, the water's nice. Let's put it that way. You're always welcome to join us toll free at 877-927-6969. Question involving the conversation at hand, dive in. if you have a different situation you'd like to deal with one of the pros, don't be shy. Go ahead and dive on in. We love to take the phone calls. We is me, Johnny C. Our producer extraordinaire is Jimothy. He likes lining you up.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah. Give us a call.
Yeah.
877-927-6969. Keep me busy over here
Exactly.
while I'm dipping my toe into that water.
It's nice, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is beautiful.
Yeah. Don't get it in your mouth though.
Oh,
Don't do that.
well.
That's pretty
That's
universal though.
disappointing.
It's pretty universal, right? I mean, you can apply that pretty much
Okay.
everywhere.
All right.
Yeah. And
It
don't
was my
let it,
Saturday.
don't let it bother you that Jimothy doesn't have any pants on when you dial in either.
No.
You won't even know
Yeah, you'll never even know.
unless I tell you. Good to see you as always.
Good to see you, Johnny.
Great to see Paul Krasker. You know, his name's on the sign. It says the law offices of Paulie Krasker right there. And he's right here in studio right now. Good to see you, Paul.
Great to be here.
Virginia made a nice little run this year. They did pretty well, huh?
They did.
Yeah, they get you all excited.
I've actually got Michigan to take it.
I got Michigan. I had Michigan beating Florida. Obviously, Florida decided to not do their part there,
Yeah.
but I got Michigan winning it all too. So,
You do.
yeah, Michigan's been the best team all year to me. A lot of people are on Arizona right now, but I think Michigan's still the team to beat.
And all the announcers say that Arizona is the only full team, the only one who has everything. And
They're great. They are. Michigan to me has been the best team all year.
No.
So you got Michigan beating who?
I couldn't tell you.
You don't remember?
No,
Probably Florida.
no, because I do so bad when I do the
The bracket.
bracket myself.
Mhm.
My daughter, who loves college basketball, Virginia
Yeah.
grad,
Oh yeah.
filled it out for me this year, and I went from being like 48th to 3rd,
Oh nice. Nice.
and I'm the only guy who has Michigan. So if Michigan wins, I'm the guy.
That's
Yeah,
good.
the guy, yeah.
Even Paul knows you got to go to people that are great at winning. Don't just flub around and think you got this. Go to people that know what they're doing.
There
That's a
are
segue.
50 people who texted me already to say, "Who did your bracket this year?"
They know. They're like, you didn't do this. That's funny.
Yeah.
We'll go Wolverines. That'd be nice to. Is there like just handshakes and high fives, or is there a little something coming your way if you win that?
You know, I've never been even close to know.
To know
I'm
it.
sure that there's some value associated with a win.
Well, I hope to find out one day. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Congratulations. That's nice to be in contention at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so far out of contention. It's not even funny. Jared Perry's with us as well on this Saturday. Perry Group, CPA, LLC. Dude, it's good to see you. Who you got winning it all, by the way?
Man, I haven't even taken a look yet this year. It's
Too
just,
crazy this
yeah, I
time of year?
normally don't get into March Madness as much as I like all the sports. I
Yeah,
love it.
So a different March
Something
Madness.
going on in your business this time of year?
Yeah, a little bit.
March Madness means something totally different. Jared.
You know I love sports, but yeah, March Madness is just a tough time for me to actually, pick a team and pay attention and stay up on it.
I
So,
know you love sports, athletes, their careers,
Yeah.
their financial plans. I know you even like see the kiddos coming in.
Yeah.
So like this is a great time for you. It's just not a great time for you.
not a great time for it.
Not a great time for me consuming basketball.
It's both. It's got its sweet and sour. You know what I mean?
Totally. I like that. They should make candies like that. Jimmy D's over here too, our fearless leader. 14 years now. I've told you he runs a top producing Keller Williams team. I know, right?
Speaking of candy,
Cool.
Oh, right.
It's the Florida Home Pros team with Keller Williams Innovations. There's Jimmy D. Jim DeBola, how you be?
I'm doing good. I wanted to just bring up one more thing before we get into Jarrett's segment. Paul, I wanted to ask you if I gave somebody some not good advice or not, okay? Guy calls me up. He inherits a property from a next door neighbor. There's a mortgage on it. Mortgage can't be paid, so now it's in foreclosure. The property is in a probate. So the person who's the heir to the house is also power of attorney for the estate or whatever. So they went to an attorney, and the attorney said, don't worry about the foreclosure. They can't do anything because of the probate status, and they have to get through that first. And I said, well, that might be true. I heard that probate will stop the foreclosure, but it doesn't stop everything that's happened behind to get the foreclosure done. And that all the late payments are being accrued, late interest, late penalties, attorney fees for filing the foreclosure and the processing fees for all that. Isn't all that clicking and adding up while you're going through the probate process?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it isn't like it's just like, because they had the attitude that, oh, it's in halt mode, so we don't have to worry about it. But the clock is ticking, right?
The clock is ticking to the extent that when the PR is approved, is appointed by the judge, they can serve that PR and they can finish up their foreclosure.
And then they just pick up where they left off. But all the fees are still accruing, right?
Absolutely.
So this house does not have that much equity where it's like, hey, we don't care if it's an extra whatever, right? It could be tens of thousands, maybe depending on how many payments they miss.
Correct.
So my question is there a chance that you could stop that from happening by asking the probate judge or the person in charge of the case to sell the house so that you could stop the bleeding while the probate's going on?
You're allowed to sell a house during the probate. Period.
You are.
Yeah,
and you
no
can
question.
transfer title and everything?
So what happens is, and we do this all the time, you have to get the order appointing the personal representative. You have to get the order opening the estate and letters of administration. Once those are available, the next thing you can do is submit an order for sale. And you show them an appraisal that says that the appraised value is close to the amount that we're selling it. And you ask the judge to allow a sale to occur during the probate process. And you keep the net proceeds in escrow pending the creditor period expiring. Because once you start the probate, then you have to create a creditor period. And that creditor period runs from 90 days. And you notice all the creditors that you are aware of, and then you publish for all those creditors that you're not aware of. And you have to wait 90 days after you send out that notice before you know who the creditors are and before you figure out who to pay what.
You're putting them on notice, right? All the creditors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if they don't make a claim within that 90-day period, so if you send a creditor a notice and they don't respond, after 90 days, you don't have to pay them, even if the money was owed. So it's a cleansing process of for the estate. We encourage our clients to sell the property as quickly as possible because most times properties are appreciating assets, but in a probate, it could be the opposite. There's nobody there. There's nobody cutting the grass. There's nobody.
Yeah. Deferred maintenance, all that stuff.
It keeps adding up. The homeowners association keeps sending their monthly, quarterly bills.
Yep.
So, if you've made the decision to sell it as quickly as you can.
Paul, if you have it titled to a revocable trust, multiple investment properties, and you have a will that says the assets transfer to your revocable trust when you pass, do you still need to have the assets titled to the trust, like on the tax return documents, or will it automatically still transfer based on?
So we've had a lot of issues with this because people say, well, my estate planner, he created a revocable trust.
Yep.
Yeah, but he never transferred the property into the trust.
Right.
And he needed to put a deed from you or you and your spouse to the trust to avoid probate. So if it's still in their individual names, you have to go through the probate. That's called a pour over will, where it pours into the trust. But unfortunately, all those people are stuck paying whatever it is, the $7,500 it costs to go through a probate. And they have to wait the time period. Whereas if you recorded a deed years ago, then literally 2 days after whoever passed, the successor trustee could step in, doesn't have to talk to a judge, doesn't have to talk to anybody, could sell that property immediately.
Yeah.
So why does it not happen? Just ignorance?
Yeah.
That's it?
Well, there's two things. Number one, a lot of estate planners aren't real estate attorneys.
Yeah.
So they set it up based on what they think is the easiest for them.
Or they do a basic estate plan where they do the trust, power of attorney, healthcare surrogate, and it doesn't include the deeds.
Huh.
And people don't want to pay for it, I think, is a lot of it too.
Well, and a lot of the other problems are that you get these properties that have mortgages on them
And they
that are
can't
in individual names that you're supposed to go to the bank and get approval.
for a personal guarantee, just transfer it to the LLC if they'll do it. Yep.
And I tell my clients, look, if it's from you to your revocable trust, just record the deed. The bank's not going to argue with you.
Yeah.
But if it's to an LLC, because you're going to start renting it out, the banks can call the
They
loan.
call the loan. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you'd have to go to the bank and tell them, hey, we're trying to transfer this over to an LLC. I'll personally guarantee it still.
Right.
But we need a title to the LLC and the loan in the LLC's name. Yeah.
Wow, there's so many layers there. And gosh, if you need examples of why you got to go to people that are great at what they do, there's another like Eat at Joe's neon sign screaming at you right now.
That happens a lot.
Jeepers.
That's very common. I see that all the time.
That's scary. And
I'll
you said
start
it's like
sending them over.
$7,500 to get that probate. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And that was my instinct when I was talking to the radio show caller about this situation. I said, "How did you find the attorney?" And it wasn't vetted very well. Let's just put it that way. And I don't even know the attorney's name. But when they told me what the advice they gave him, I'm like, "Do they have any real estate experience also?" And he goes, "Well, I think so." But most of the time I find when I'm dealing with probate attorneys, a lot of them don't really understand real estate as well as I would think that they would, because they have to deal with real estate all the time.
I would imagine.
Am I wrong about that,
Yeah.
Paul? I mean, I know
Most of
there's
the
a lot
guys
of
I'm
great
dealing
people out
with
there.
who are probate are great, and they know what they're doing, and it's a pleasure to work with them.
Mhm.
There are a bunch of others who just stay in their lane. They do their probate. And what they were probably trying to say to this person is, yeah, we have to figure out the bank and we have to stop the foreclosure, but I need to get my probate open first.
Mhm.
And that's the right advice. They do have to get it open first because they can't sell it without that. But they should have said, listen, I can put in an order for sale. Go ahead and start marketing it, get the property ready to go, list the property. A lot of these probate attorneys turn back and say, hey, if you're not appointed as PR yet, then you can't sign a listing agreement yet, and there's nothing we can do. So let's hurry up and get this opened.
Mhm.
You should be able to open it within a week.
Right.
That's it. And I always tell my PRs, listen, sign the listing agreement. Sign it and say, I am the PR under the will. I haven't been appointed yet, but if you feel comfortable moving forward, let's sign the listing. Let's get it in MLS. Let's get a contract prepared.
Let's get it done. And time is of the essence when you have a situation like that. So please don't think you know what's going on. Find out really what's going on, because it is very complicated and it isn't always what people call logical, right? So a lot of times when you do the logical thing, it isn't always really your best situation. And the advice is free, so why not get it when you can?
That's well said. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Why
Okay,
not?
I'm sorry. So I really want to get into, I just wanted to bring that up because it was similar to what we were talking about just a little while ago. But I'm really excited to talk about ways to save money. We're trying to figure out ways to save money. And for capital gains, Jarrett has a lot of new stuff, and it's all based on, I think, the new
Big Beautiful Bill.
or something like that. Right, Johnny?
Yeah. So ultimately, look, if you're thinking about selling, I think there's a few things you probably think of. And one of the first things you probably think of, like I do, is, man, the IRS going to take a big chunk of my capital gains on that. I'm going to get whacked on this. But in the Big Beautiful Bill that Jarrett speaks of, there may be some tucked in advantage if you go to a pro's pro, somebody that knows how this game is played and understands all the nuance. So if I'm listing my house right now, I'm thinking about selling right now, Jarrett, what's the one thing that I need to be focused on besides making sure I go to pros, people that know what they're doing and how I'm going to get a best outcome right here. What's the thing I need to be focusing on, or at least a couple things maybe?
Yeah, I think, there's a difference between somebody selling a primary residence or an investment property. And with investment properties, you don't get that primary residence exclusion that you would get on a primary residence sale. So if you live in a primary for 2 out of 5 years and you sell it, you get a $250,000 exclusion on the gain. So if you sold it and you made $750 on the gain in the sale, you would get $250 off that, or $500,000 if you're joint. There's none of that on investment properties, right?
All right.
So that's the first thing, I guess, is there's
two out of 5, then they don't have to be consecutive. I think I've heard you say.
Does not within a 5-year period. So 2 out of 5 years, you have to have lived there within a 5-year period. You can do it, on multiple houses if you can meet that criteria. You can sell one house, go live in another one, live there for a certain number of years, sell that one, and still get the exclusion on both of them if it's your primary.
Right.
But on investment properties, that's really what we're focusing on with the big, beautiful bill. Some of these strategies existed prior. We just didn't know what was going to happen in the future, and it made them permanent.
So you have to wait for the dust to settle to really get an understanding of how you're going to be able to work it. You know how to work it right now, but we need the dust to settle to know how we can work it moving forward.
And it's settled, and now they've made these DSTs and things like that permanent for the rules. So now we know what we can do with these things moving forward, and we can plan better.
What's a DST?
A DST is a Delaware statutory trust. It's kind of like it's basically a grantor trust where multiple investors, a lot more previously, people were using things like tenancy in common to get money from investors to go out and buy properties. And there's a big difference with a DST and a tenancy in common because a DST is a type of trust, the investors, it can have more investors, a lot more investors. So the minimums are typically lower. And because there's more investors, they have access to more asset classes and better property. So basically, with a DST, if it's done right, you can use the DST it holds the loans. You're not liable for the debt. You're not making management decisions. It's got a sponsor that runs the DST. So it's completely passive to you. So you don't have to do anything. So if you had a property, a whole bunch of rental properties that you were managing, and you want to get out of managing them and dealing with the day-to-day and all the things that go along with it.
Yeah, because that's a full-time and a half job.
Yeah, I think that's the big problem. Like, we have a lot of clients that are like, oh, I'm going to get into the real estate. And they start buying rentals. And then the next thing they're like, this is a lot of work. Like, I need a whole accounting system. We need a separate set of books and records for each LLC to hold each property. And that gets expensive for the accounting and the LLCs and all that stuff, the tax returns that go along with it. So people that are kind of over that, don't want to deal with it, but still need that cash flow, every quarter or month or however it's going. Well, they can basically sell their investment properties and take the proceeds from them. So the full value of all those without paying any tax, you can defer the tax on it by reinvesting into a DST, a Delaware statutory trust, which owns the property, rental properties, and it kicks off passive income to the investors.
All right, so you cash out, and then you shelter from the tax by reinvesting into a mechanism that's going to give you income passively on the regular based on the properties you just sold.
Correct.
And other properties?
Yeah, so you can if you're selling one property, you could take those funds and put it into 2 different DSTs in different asset classes. If you were not using a DST, you'd have to identify a property within 45 days of closing on the property, and then you have to close on it with 180 days.
Talking about using the proceeds, you have to identify a property that you're going to dump that money into, those gains.
Yep.
And close within a certain window, or your tax implication kicks in?
Yes, or your tax implication kicks in. And so these DSTs are already structured. I mean, there's DSTs open right now in different asset classes that have decks that basically explain, like, you're going to get a 10% return quarterly on this investment over, 4 years. It's looking at a 2.5x multiple when you exit. So you have a really good idea, and they have historicals to show you what they've done in the past on these deals. So
Right.
it's a lot easier to close because you don't have to go find a specific property you want, and you can invest right into the asset class that you want to invest into, or multiple asset classes.
So if you're investing in a property, there's a bunch of reasons why you wouldn't close, right? All kinds of things that can be out of your control.
Yep.
Getting into the DST, that's just green light the whole way.
As long as you're an accredited investor, you do need to be an accredited investor.
Okay.
What
does that mean exactly?
Accredited means you have to have over, I think it's 250,000 in income a year.
Based on your properties?
No, just your overall adjusted gross income.
Everything.
Or you have to have I think it's $1 million in net assets, excluding your primary residence.
Excluding a primary. All right. So those are attainable for a lot of investors. I don't think those are lofty numbers to me because I'm not an investor.
Right.
But most real estate investors,
You're sitting on, right.
If you got a couple properties,
You're
right?
there.
Yeah.
You're
If you're tired of managing your properties,
Right.
And,
So again, me, I'd have my little primary single family home. I'm not an investor. Like, to me, I'm like, oh, that's a lofty number. But to an investor, if you have a couple properties, that's a super attainable.
Think about it. If you had four $350,000
You're there.
properties that are rentals, right? 2 ones, and you got them like West Palm, Lake Worth, the older homes, that there's $1 million right there.
Sure, or even like some quadplexes or
Yeah,
something. You might,
something like that.
yeah,
Right.
okay.
and there's a lot of other, things you wouldn't have to deal with a DST. Like if the tenants are a pain in the butt, you don't have to deal with that. If the property needed a new roof or it had some repairs or whatever, that's not handled by you. It's handled by the DST. So you know what your investment is going into it.
Sure.
Paul, how important is that accreditation? You've heard about the accreditation process for that?
Yeah, it's a self-accreditation process. So
You just have to prove it to the company.
to the DST.
Yeah, the
Is it
DST.
an important function? Do you think of all this?
Well, the DST wants to make sure you're an accredited investor because they don't want you making claims halfway through
Yeah.
and saying, hey, you scammed me on this. This is ridiculous. And by the way, I wasn't really an accredited investor, so you need to give me my money back.
Right. Yeah, because your money's going to be tied up. I mean, typically they're buying land, building the property, multi-units there, and starting to rent it out, get it occupied before they sell it, and then they pay their investors back.
And some of these DSTs are actually buying the portfolios of the people that you're talking about
Yep.
who are sick of getting calls at 4 a.m. that
Yeah.
the toilet's leaking.
That's right. That's right.
Has the DST always been a thing, or is this introduced in the Big Beautiful Bill?
It was here prior to the Big Beautiful Bill, but like I said, we didn't know. A lot of that was sunsetting and expiring, so we didn't know if it was going to continue or not. So it made it permanent.
Right, or how we're grandfather. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
guessing games still, but now it's permanent. So
It's
this is a real option A for folks that want to hit the out button.
Yeah,
I mean,
anybody
it sounds
that
like
really
it's neat.
wants out. I mean, the other way out would be you have to sell your properties, pay the taxes, take that net leftover cash and put it into some other type of investment like the market, somewhere else that's going to kick off income.
Uh-huh.
So with this, you get to keep the full, if you got 10 million properties, you get to reinvest the 10 million. And now you're getting cash flow on that 10 million instead of cash flow on, 6
Right.
after tax.
And
The old alternative was
Tennessee
to sell
Common.
your residential properties that are driving you crazy and then flip into in a 1031 exchange. I call them the Tires Plus deals. Some Tires Plus in Omaha, Nebraska, that's a triple net lease.
Triple
They
net.
don't call you for anything. They pay the taxes. They pay their own insurance.
That's right.
And you just get a coupon clipper at the end of the month where they mail you your check for your rent.
I've dealt with a couple of
Can I just make sure I'm following
I'm
along though? And in this DST or the other option, as you noted, you have that 45-day window.
1031 exchange.
Okay, so that's you're paying 0% on your capital gains at that point. Am I wrong?
So you defer 100% of the capital gains while it's in the DST.
You're deferring it though. All right,
Yeah,
but it's
but-
not. You're not dealing with it. It's not. You're not getting whacked on it. It's going into a new investment mechanism.
And you're getting cash flow on the full value.
Right.
And you can do that again and again and keep doing it. And actually, if you do it until your death, your beneficiaries will get a step up in basis. So if they sold the property within 6 months of your date of death, and it would have had a multi-million-dollar gain on it, there is no gain. You pay no tax at all.
It's one of those things you wrap your head around. Like, why wouldn't you do this unless you needed access to all your cash immediately? Right,
Johnny, I tell you, that's one of the things we've talked about this a bunch, Jim. I get so many realtors who tell people to put their kid on their deed before they die.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's the worst thing. And I always say to people when they ask me, why do you hate your child?
Yeah, because you're taking away that step up.
You gut their step up. My next door neighbor.
What
called
attorney
me.
would do that? I don't.
No attorney would do that. What
Okay.
happens is the realtors tell the people to do it.
That's what happens.
They go down to a title company or
just have 'em.
Office Depot. They put a quick claim deed on, and it's mom, and they put their son's name on there,
Legal Zoom. Yeah.
and they don't call anybody else. But what happens is, and this happened to my
It's a
next door
problem.
neighbor, they bought their house for $27,000. It was worth $2 million.
Oh man.
The next door neighbor talks to a realtor who's in their ear. They put their kid's name on the deed. And then they came to me and said, what a great thing we just did. And I said,
you're like, no.
I said, don't worry about it. Your kid didn't pay for this house. So what if they get it at $2 million? If they sell it at $2 million, they just need to pay 23.8% tax.
That could have been avoided.
By the way, they have to wait a year before they do it. So
Yeah.
and they're panicked and they say, what can I do? Well, you can quit claim yourself off the deed.
Oh, you can still get off of it.
You can put it as a life estate deed, or you can put it into trust where they get their interest when their parents pass. And then instead of paying tax on the difference between $27,000 and $2 million, then they get an automatic step up in basis to the $2 million. So if they sell the house on day 2 after their mom or dad passes, they pay no tax at all.
Oh, it's like a $500,000 error
Yeah.
in tax. That's crazy.
And I
Yeah.
tell realtors, stop talking about it because you're going to get sued.
You're going to get sued
Yeah,
over that.
for
When
sure.
their CPA tells them that they have to pay this tax. Crazy.
It is crazy, and you do hear about that a lot more. And you think we all the time you'll hear somebody saying, "Oh, they told me to put it on a quick claim deed," like he's saying, and
So, Jared, I've got a question for you about the homestead, $250,000 or $500,000, and I've had CPAs tell me totally different things about this. If you're single, you buy a house, then you get married, but you never put your spouse's name on the deed. Now you sell it 10 years later. Do you get a $500,000 credit or do you get the $250,000 credit?
I haven't had that specific situation, but I don't know. I think that's a really good question. I thought it was you both had to meet the ownership and use test, meaning you had to live there and it had to be your primary. Now, is it? I think that means
I
the
agree.
spouse that wasn't on it. It is their primary, even though their name wasn't on it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't tell somebody that without knowing for sure. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I've been told two different things from two different CPAs.
Yeah.
It was something that happened to me.
Wow.
And I told my spouse, take the 250,000, don't take the 500,000. It's too big a risk to do
Mhm.
because my name wasn't on the deed
Yeah.
when she sold, and it was my homestead. Technically, I was living there as my primary residence, but I wasn't on the deed.
Yeah.
And in my particular case, I had sold a homestead within the last 2 years. So I thought I would have crippled her anyway.
Mhm.
But I've asked since then, I've asked 2 or 3 people to say, is it just that you're living there, or does your name have to be on the deed? If it has to be on the deed, I could have fixed that issue.
Yeah. Yeah. You could have fixed it.
I just could have put my name on the deed the day before the closing, and
Bada bing. Yeah.
That's a good question. I'll look into it for sure. I'll
Right.
let you know. It's you would think, it's your primary and you guys are married. They should, but that's a big assumption to make on
Well,
a
I would
$250,000.
I would
Yeah.
just assume
I
that,
would too.
that's
Yep.
included
Yep.
because, but I have another question about this. What about businesses, Jerry? We've been talking about real estate. Can businesses be included in this or no?
Businesses, real estate, the real estate of the business, can, but business sales that have gains, there's other options for them, like an opportunity zone fund, which right now for 2026 it didn't get reopened until 2027. So if you sold a business in 2027 and you had a big gain on it,
Mhm.
if you reinvest that into a opportunity zone fund, then you can defer 100% of the tax.
Can you
And
use
you can actually eliminate 100% of the tax if it stays in the opportunity zone fund. I think it's for like 8 or 10 years, something like that.
for the opportunity zones, can you use the same kind of group that finds these properties or runs them and does all that, the management?
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's just a different
Same
type of
structure.
product,
Yeah, they do it with a DST.
or
Yeah.
a different type of product.
Yeah.
I wasn't clear on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's there now. And anybody that is thinking about selling a business, maybe try to, I don't know if there's some rule where if you sell it towards the end of this year, maybe you can still, but as of right now, I think, try to push it off till 2027 if you're thinking about doing that so that you can, get that, full.
And the benefits of those opportunity zones are unbelievable.
They really are. Yeah.
It's so worth to be in them.
Yeah.
And it was a brilliant idea.
Yep.
I just saw a house that said it was in an opportunity zone, and it was zoned like multifamily, but it was just a single story house, kind of in that Nora district that they're rebuilding over there. What would be the benefit of a house like that being an opportunity zone? Like, why did they mention it?
All the accounting benefits, all of the tax benefits of paying no tax at all when you sell. So you asked an interesting question that a lot of people don't understand with those 1031s. People think, oh, I avoided paying tax. You didn't avoid paying tax. You deferred your tax.
Deferred it.
Mhm.
And the downside of deferring capital gains tax is if we're in a country of haves and have-nots and the government needs revenue, at some point they're going to consider taking those capital gains
Deferrals. Yeah.
and they're going to increase the rates on the capital gains.
Mhm.
So if you had the ability to cash out at 23.8% and you said no and you rolled it into another investment and you're not looking to die with it,
That's true.
if you sell it 10 years from now and that capital gains rate is 35%, that's painful.
Yeah, it
But
costs you
with
12%.
with
But the flip side to that is you were able to invest 100% of the proceeds and the time value money on that. So
True.
You're still going to come out ahead,
Yeah,
but you're
but-
not going to feel like you won on the back end,
right,
right,
like
for
you
sure.
did if it's the same rate.
But with the opportunity zone, there's basically no capital gains.
There are opportunities to just wipe out your capital gains entirely.
Entirely.
And take all that cash
Okay.
right into your pocket.
So
Yep.
buying an investment property in an opportunity zone would be
Is-
is the way
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah, when you were talking about that one multi-unit, I
Mhm.
think if that would have been a great one because you have to hold it, a certain period. And I think that is 8 to 10 years, maybe 8 or maybe 10. I can't remember, but
What's the establishment for an opportunity zone? What's the criteria on that?
So governments create the opportunity zones.
yeah,
And what they do is they have a formula that they have to use. And it's properties that are a certain percentage below the average price point in the county. So they go around and they find pockets of really depressed real estate.
it's not always as depressed as you would think. There's some that don't seem that depressed, but typically, yes, that's the
Well, like the tennis. Have you been following the Delray Beach?
I haven't seen that.
You know that
The
tennis facility?
center? Yeah.
That's in an opportunity
That's
zone.
what I
Oh,
mean.
that would make
And the reason they made it
Stop.
into an opportunity zone is it's like those zoning laws where where all this, what's it called, where they have this huge area of depressed housing,
redevelop.
and then right abutting it, there's something interesting,
Yeah,
and so they average it out so
attach
that
that other. Yeah,
they throw in this one
Oh,
piece to get it. It's like the gerrymandering in politics.
Totally. Right?
Oh.
That's what I'm thinking as you're saying. They're gerrymandering.
So they'll take this whole
yeah,
African American community that abuts next to this one enclave of incredibly
yeah.
high net worth individuals, and they throw it all into one group.
It's kind of like
Incentivized
Nora, kind of,
dollars.
right? Like what they're doing with Nora isn't
Well, Nora was legitimately
opportunities.
a horrible,
Yeah,
horrible area.
yeah. There wasn't really much attached to that. To I guess except for downtown,
He
maybe.
built it up himself.
Yeah.
I mean, Ned Grace did for West Palm Beach what the Rolf and Palladino were trying to do before City Place became a City Place.
Yeah.
And he built this himself. He went door to door buying crack houses
Yeah.
right up against the railroad tracks.
Yep.
And he managed them for 15 years. I mean, what a
What a long
It is
what a
coming
long
around,
game,
too.
huh? That's a long game.
what an incredible story.
And it is coming around, man. That place is there. It's popping up like crazy down there. It looks,
New York restaurants are
it's crazy.
paying tens of thousands of dollars to be there where they wouldn't have walked the streets 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I
Right.
did a research on the Nora district and create a little video for one of the investors we were trying to work with. And I counted that there were at that time, there were over almost $2 billion of investment going in there between the Bright Line station and the county and the state funds and the city funds, but also Stephen Ross and Jeff Green. And there's a lot of other apartment developers that are over there that are working on it. It was close to $2 billion and that was like a year and a half ago or something when I was doing that research.
That's interesting.
It's pretty interesting. Yeah.
It's great what he's done. And then the project on the north side of Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard.
Yeah.
They just announced the Good Sam Hospital moving to the west of Dixie Highway.
Oh,
And
I
and
didn't
building
catch
a new facility there.
yeah.
Oh, God.
Unbelievable.
I've
They're
been
just
there
going
once.
to move it to
Yeah,
the other side
they're
of the
gonna build
intersection.
them a new hospital, and then the
Huh.
developers are going to take the East Hospital and redevelop that.
Oh, really?
That's
That makes
good.
sense. It's so close to intercoastal.
And
Yeah,
they're,
I mean,
and
it
they're
makes- it
building
makes
two
sense.
25-story wellness independent living towers on the hospital campus.
Wow.
That's got to be next level thinking.
When is
Yeah.
that happening? Because that's going to make
That'll-
that little intersection.
That'll help my
Yes.
building down there for
5
sure.
years.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like,
I'll
"Geez,
take
I
that.
love that.
Yeah, I love it. Love to hear that.
Yeah.
My office is like right there.
I
I'm on
saw it,
Olive.
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
I'm on the same Olive and 8th, right on the same street as the yacht club.
Okay.
Right there.
Just a little north of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's right there. Little south, yeah.
Or south. Yeah. Sorry.
Do you mind if we switch gears? Are we
No,
okay
I'm
with
good.
switching
Yeah.
gears?
Sure.
So, Paul, I wanted to ask you, we have a lot of people moving from out of the area into this area. And specifically, I know it's a lot Miami, but Palm Beach County, I think, is superseding the Fort Lauderdale area for people migrating over here. And, we talked a little bit about people are really surprised in New York that, you don't have to have an attorney for the closing and things like that. But I know you deal with a lot of out-of-state people that are buying here for the first time. Tell me the 3 things that you think as a top real estate attorney in Palm Beach County in South Florida, the 3 things you need to know about buying down here so you don't get burned.
Homestead laws,
Mm-hmm.
real estate taxes,
Mm-hmm.
insurance.
That's exactly what I said last night. Yeah, I
Yep,
thought the
yep.
same thing.
So let's go over each of these, and I'm going to give everybody a bonus one that's hardly ever talked about. It's kind of interesting too. But let's go over one by one. So homestead laws, what do they need to know that they don't know usually when they're coming down here about the homestead, and why is that important?
Sure. And homestead is very different from residency. Homestead is a two-part concept. First part is a constitutional benefit of homestead. A lot of fraudsters in New York come down here, commit their frauds, come down here and buy a $25 million house
Asset protection.
on a half-acre lot. Why? Because it's homesteaded,
Yeah.
period. And as long as you didn't intend to defraud people and bring down, they can't get at it, period.
Yep.
So homestead, the constitutional homestead, is a creditor protection, period, end stop. And that's why a lot of people come down who had problems up north. For people who didn't have problems up north, there's still a significant benefit for statutory homestead. Statutory homestead caps the
Real estate.
valuation increases on your real estate at 3% a year instead of 10% a year.
Mhm.
And with the rapid growth we've seen
That's
over
huge.
the last 20 years,
Yeah, it's huge.
that's a way that retired people have been able to stay in their homes versus having to sell your home.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
Today, homestead is probably even more important than anything else with the pending possibility of the November ballot. You know, DeSantis, as his last gift to Floridians before being out of office, is trying to pass a constitutional amendment that says you don't pay tax on your homestead. No more real estate tax on your homestead other than the
Yeah.
school tax, which is
Right.
constitutional.
Mhm.
We think that's going to pass?
Who else is voting on it? Only homestead voters
Yeah.
are voting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Damn sure it's going to pass if it gets on the ballot.
That's awesome.
And so you're talking about some people who are paying $2 million in Palm Beach,
Yeah, that's crazy.
$2 million a year, and they look at it and say, I'm not getting $2 million of value out of my taxes. Are you kidding me?
Right.
So they'll fund the money to put on a good campaign.
Campaign,
To
yeah.
say, stop letting, municipalities waste your money. Let's make their budgets go down so they can't keep screwing us over, whatever the argument's going to
Yeah.
be. So I think it'll pass if it gets on the ballot. And that's going to be a huge
Yeah.
benefit to anybody who's homesteaded. Period.
Do you also find that it's important for people from out of state to know the regulations like Jared just described about how much time you have to be in that property to prove your homestead?
So this is
A
another
lot of people don't understand that. Is that true?
Yeah, a lot of common misconception with homestead. They mix it up with residency. Residency, you have to be out of your northern state for 6 months and a day. And there's another 17 criteria that you have to be aware of to become a resident of Florida. But to get homestead, it's very different.
Yeah.
It's incredibly easy. There's no date requirement. You can buy your house, and on the next day, you can declare that to be your homestead. It's an intention-based argument.
Mhm.
And if you intend to be here, even if you just use it for a day, but I feel it's my homestead, I feel this is where my primary residence
Is my roots.
that's it.
So then you get the tax benefit of
Sure.
to save our homes.
Now, there are a couple
then-
of things that the state requires you to do.
Okay.
Have to get a Florida driver's license with the address that you just bought.
Yeah.
And you have to register to vote.
Yeah.
So you do those two things. You come back to me. I file it for you online. And you're homesteaded, period. Now, you can't have any homestead benefits in another state. And if you're married, your spouse can't have homestead benefits in another state. So you have to make a decision to give up your homestead.
Yeah.
But like New York State used to have the star credit, which is akin to our homestead.
Mm-hmm.
But the governor passed up there a law that said if you make $500,000 or more,
No.
you don't get a star credit. So all the people who are moving down here who made $500,000 in their last years and buying second homes, they don't qualify for the star credit anymore. And I say to them, come down here, get your Florida driver's license, get your voter ID, have your homestead here, get the cap on the benefit of the taxes, and you weren't getting any benefit from your homestead up north, give up the star credit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for taxes, it's based on the facts and circumstances. So you have to have a lot more support to prove that it is your primary residence, and so you are really a resident of the state.
Yeah, I know people that come down from up north and they stay here for an exact amount of time and they have their trips planned out and everything. And they also can show proof that they were living here, like receipts and stuff, utility bills and things like that, and other things.
You have to change all your bank account addresses to down here.
Yep.
You have to donate
Primary
here
doctor.
as opposed up north. You have to have your attorney, your accountant,
Primary
your
doctor.
doctors down here.
Kids got to be in school.
If you have kids, they can't be in a
These
public
are all the
school up
17
north.
criteria.
Yeah.
This is all part of the 17
Yeah.
criteria.
They ask questions like, where's your art? Where's your important art? If your important art is still at your New York apartment and you don't have art down here, you got posters on your wall down here, that's one way that the New York Department of Revenue is going to grab at it. Say,
Yeah.
sorry, you're still a New York resident. You kept your Renoir up in your apartment over there.
And that's not just for like real estate. I mean, when you go to file your tax return, if you're a resident of Florida, we don't have state income taxes, right? There's a big difference between that and New York, where it's like 9 to 10%. So those criteria are extremely important to get that tax break.
And I'm doing 2 residency consultations a week right now.
Are you? Yeah.
California, New York, Connecticut,
To make sure.
Illinois, Michigan.
Yeah.
Everybody wants out of their state. They still have to, if they own a business in Massachusetts and they're making $500,000 a year in Massachusetts, they still have to pay a non-resident tax return for the money they made in Massachusetts. But if their Massachusetts business makes money in New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, if they domesticate their Massachusetts business to here, they can avoid paying tax on in Massachusetts on Pennsylvania, Connecticut, New York, etc.
And all that. There's somebody on YouTube that had a question. Their question is, if you already have a homestead on the property, by adding your name to your wife's property, even though you live there with her as your primary, can you claim capital gains on both?
So you can't have 2 homesteads.
Yeah.
Period.
Exactly. Yep.
And you can convert one to an investment property and, do a 1031 if you don't want that as your investment property and buy something else, or invest in a DST, or invest in an opportunity zone.
Yeah, you can't use the same days to qualify both properties.
Correct.
Yes, and it's a simpler way to ask this. Can my wife have a homestead in New York and I have a homestead down here? You can't do that.
And there are a lot of people who don't get married because they
For
want
that
dual
reason.
homesteads.
So is the marriage alone avoid that? What if they literally live apart? One literally homesteads in New York, but they are married. Does
There's
the marriage
tons of people who do that.
and does the marriage void one of those? Is that
No, they just can't have homesteads in 2 places. Now, the New
Each
York
of them.
issue,
Each of them, right?
Right.
Like the wife could sell hers, get the 250. He could sell this one and get the 250. So
sure.
still get the 500, but it's
So
not,
the 215, 500, just so people know, when you're a single person in your homestead, you sell your house, you can make $250,000 in capital gains and not pay taxes. If you're a married couple, it could be 500,000, right? So that just so everybody understands the 250, 500.
So, and you could, if you want to plan it out correctly, have both names on both deeds to be safe, and then sell one of them, get the $500,000 in free capital gains, wait 2 years, sell the other one, get another $500,000 in free capital gains.
that's what I was saying. You can do it more than once. You just have to meet the criteria for each one.
And we know that is no, because we were talking DST. No, right? 2
Yeah.
years, residence, 2 years, and 2 out of 5 years, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So your timeline works perfect, Paul.
So that's homesteading. So what's the second thing, Paul, you think that most people need to know when they're buying in Florida?
Well, real estate taxes.
Mm-hmm.
We get a lot of people who make the mistake of looking at a home and going on the Palm Beach County Property Appraiser's office and looking at the tax on that home. And the seller had been in there for 25 years, had homesteaded the property, so it only increased 3% a year. So the property that they bought for $550,000 that they're now trying to sell for $2.3 million is taxed based really close to that, early number that they had. And I just did a deal in a residential community in Palm Beach Gardens where a guy bought a property, was never properly advised about his tax liability,
Mm-hmm.
and that it was going to jump up to $60,000 a year, got his first tax bill and said, "This is crazy. I don't want this house. I'm out," and sold it the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Said, "Tax liability is crazy. I'm not going to do it." So that's a situation where, had he known that he should have gone to the online calculator at the Palm Beach County Property Appraiser's office, that he puts his purchase price in for that property, and it spits out what his tax is going to be after he purchases, he would have known right up front, $60,000, I'm out. I don't want to spend that money.
Our team uses it all the time, and we don't just get them mortgage qualified with the current tax bill, which is what mortgage brokers do.
Yep.
But we also tell them by using the tax calculator, and there may be portability if we have it. And we actually walk through and say, this is what your payment is now based on the current tax bill, but this is pretty much really what you're going to be paying after they reset the taxes after you
In a
purchase.
year.
We had one customer was middle income, buying something in the fives. The original tax bill was $3,800, but their tax bill was going to be $9,300 a year, right? So you have to be really careful. There's actually a developer being sued, I think, across the nation right now for not disclosing to customers that this tax change, and usually it's with new construction, they're basing the current mortgage payment on the land only, even though the house is built there. And then after they purchase it, it gets reset with the house and it becomes much more expensive.
And there are realtors who've been sued, and there are real estate attorneys who've been sued, saying this was a material fact that you should have advised me about, and you're going to pay my taxes for the next 20 years.
The closing I did on Thursday, the title company, they had a form now that they called, and I thought the headline was awesome. They called it the property tax shock statement.
Yeah.
And they had it in big
That's
bold
funny.
letters, right? It was like there, and they just said, hey, this is what's happening. And they had a pretty good explanation.
That's
And
good.
I-
That'll catch their attention,
Yeah,
like shock.
It's probably the worst time to get that piece of paper.
Yeah,
As you're signing.
Is as you're signing it, you can't do a thing
Oh, and
about
there's
it.
one more here. too.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
one-
by the way, I
forgot.
forgot to my realtor.
this one, you're recognizing you're going to pay $1,000 a month more on your taxes.
and
Sign up.
and if I were a realtor and I had referred the closing
Yeah.
to that title company, and that was the time they
Yeah.
chose to give my buyer,
Last referral.
that's the last referral you
Yeah,
ever
I'm with
get.
you on
So
that for
that's
sure.
That's funny. That's funny. It reminds me of our buyer form. When you get qualified with Mike for a loan, we have these 10 things to do now that you're qualified to loan, 10 things not to do. And one of them says, kind of like the shock statement, don't buy a new car
Yeah.
or you may be living in it.
Yeah.
We actually have that in the
That's
form. Right?
the best advice you could give. I've had people who went out and bought furniture.
Mike's mom.
Oh,
Mike's own mom did
Finance
it.
furniture while she was trying to
Thank
get her
God.
finance furniture,
pending a loan.
and I always have to say to people, if you're going to buy furniture, buy it for cash.
Yeah.
Put it on your credit card. Do whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
Do not finance the
Yeah,
furniture.
yeah.
Mike's mom.
Probably
was at
too
the
expensive for
Thank
you.
God
Yeah.
the salesperson, and I'm going to give a shout out to this company, but it was El Dorado, and she was there, and it just happened to be her salesperson is like a part-time realtor.
Yeah.
And she was all excited, and she was picking out furniture, and she was going to do the deal, and she was explaining that she was just buying the house and everything, and the salesperson said, have you talked to your mortgage broker? And she was like, "Oh, it's my son. Don't worry."
No, no.
Yeah, worry about
So
it.
she said, "I really would talk to your son before you do anything." And she called right from the store. Mike's like, "Don't do it.
No, don't do that.
Don't do that."
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny. So even, it happens all the time. So, property taxes. Now the third thing, Paul.
Yeah.
Didn't you say it was HOA condo disclosure?
No, he said insurance.
Oh,
I said
insurance.
insurance, but HOA
HOA,
condo
yeah.
disclosure
So
is
5 things.
a big one.
So let's talk about that, Paul, because there's so much stuff going on with the structural integrity reports and everything. What do people need to know if they're buying a condo versus an HOA?
And the law treats it so different. Condo, they treat it like it's the old blue-haired grandmothers on Miami Beach that they needed to protect from the big bag developers. So there's a form that you have to include, and the seller has to deliver all of the documents, all of the minutes of the meetings, all of the frequently asked questions, the last year's financials for the company, the budget for the next year. Have to disclose if there are any special assessments pending. So they really make it, and now you get 7 days to review all that and cancel the contract if you're not happy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you contrast it with the HOA. All you have to do is give one piece of paper that says, by the way, you live in an HOA, and if you're worried about it, figure it out. It's your problem.
Wow.
And there's no period of time when you can get out of it. And they don't have to give you the HOA docs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a real weird dichotomy between those two.
Do most people really comply with because the condo thing in real life, this is the thing that's very difficult when you're the listing agent and I'm talking to our customer. We have this form called the community summary sheet, and we ask them on one page to answer all the questions. So your allowed pets, what kind of trucks, how many parking spaces, what is your fee? Is it monthly? Do you have a recreational lease or your fee for that? Anything, right? We try to have it all. And you cannot believe how few owners of the condos know most of that information. They usually don't know it. And they also don't seem very concerned if they don't give accurate information. And we have them sign a form saying it's in big red letters and everything. This is your responsibility. You have to give this to us, and it's got to be accurate, or you can be sued. And and the thing that bothers me is when they try to get the information from the condo or the property managers association, a lot of times it's very difficult even for them. And when we try to do it, the reason why we throw it on their shoulders is partly is legal liability, but more importantly, even if we call the property manager and try to get that information, a lot of times they say, you're not the owner. The owner can get this information. We'll give it to them. So what's the best way to deal with that? And how can you impress upon sellers how important that stuff is in the sale?
You should have a form pre-written that the seller sign at the time of listing, that they sign that appoints you as their representative and instructs the association to speak with you and provide you with all those documents. Yeah. That's their requesting the documents for you. And I encourage all realtors to have that form signed up front, because you're right. A lot of times they say, oh, I only talk to the owner. Well, okay, here's the owner's written authorization that you need to speak to me and you need to give me these documents. Some of the management companies are getting much better.
Yeah.
What is that? FRI?
SIRS, structural integrity.
No, I'm talking about a management company. It's out of Miami. For all of their properties, when they take over, they get every document that's required under the law, and they put it into a link.
Yeah, like online. I love when they do that.
So literally, you just get that link from the management company. You put it in your MLS listing.
Yeah, in the MLS list.
And you say, oh, you've got all the documents already. I've got the SIRS report. I've got the structural integrity. I've got everything. Everything's done.
Nice.
And yeah, and when you create your condo rider, you check all the boxes that says that the buyer has received all that.
So as a buyer, because I just really don't trust the process. I'm being honest. As the buyer, what should they really know? Because a lot of agents don't know how to handle this on both sides, and the seller doesn't think concerned. So what should the buyer make sure of to make sure they're not going to get burned? Where there's, like, I had one person, we didn't know this until we went into contract. They have a $25,000 roofing assessment coming up, right? And it was in the meeting of the minutes. They had discussed it. They even hired a roofer, but they hadn't set the assessment yet. And we didn't know until after we went into contract. And it wasn't like we were trying to hide anything. The seller didn't know. We didn't know.
Yeah.
How do you protect yourself as a buyer that doesn't pop up later after you bought the house? Like, surprise, you got a $25,000 bill coming.
Yeah. So the new condo rider requires, there's a box to check that says 12 months minutes of the meetings. And you should check that every time when you're representing a buyer, and you get the 12 months minutes of the meetings. Look, there's times where it's going to fall through the cracks. And I just had one in South Palm Beach where you had an association that met with the purchaser asking all sorts of questions about the building. They never said, this was a meeting on a Tuesday, they never said that the board was meeting that coming Friday, 3 days later, to approve a $90,000 per unit special assessment.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Can you imagine a manager of a building not mentioning, hey, by the way?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And why they don't do that? They're scared that the seller is going to sue them.
Yeah.
Oh,
For disclosure of what's coming?
Yeah. You ruined my deal. I'm suing you.
Wow.
Well, you mean I was factually accurate?
Transparent? Yeah.
And even after that, we sent an estoppel letter to the association after the board voted. But remember, a special assessment of that nature has to be approved by the minutes of the members, by the members, not just the board. So they still never said anything after the board voted in favor of a $90,000 per unit special assessment. The closing wasn't until December 23rd. The vote of the members was on December 17th. So, but you would think, and we called at the beginning of December to say, anything different on your estoppel letter than what it was before?
Anything changed?
Nope.
Yeah. That's crazy.
They vote on the 17th, and on the 23rd, my guy goes to get his keys from the management company, and they say, oh, by the way, you owe $90,000.
Well,
that's
and there's no recourse for him.
Well, he could sue the management
Company.
He could sue the board and
now you
say,
got a
you had
whole lot.
every opportunity to say this to me.
Yeah, but
couldn't he also sell the seller? It's a fact that
he's going
materially
to.
affects a
I think he's
property
going
that's
to.
not readily observable.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's the simple one.
And the
That's
sellers
fine.
always say, I don't pay attention. I'm living in New York. I'm
But that's your
traveling all over.
responsibility, right? Isn't it like
You got emails.
Yeah.
You got emails for a vote
with
on the
ours?
17th.
With ours was a tough one because what we had in our situation, it was an HOA, but the roofs aren't covered. Well, the roofs are covered, but apparently they didn't have the money, right? So they got a contractor out there, and there's a $25,000 assessment that's going to be for each property, but it wasn't assessed yet. So there was no way to, like, in the closing, pay the association the money. And my seller was willing to give that $25,000 credit to the buyer, but we lost our first buyer because we disclosed it. As soon as we found out, we're like, hey, we have this issue. We're willing to fix it with you. It's going to be a net zero to you, a zero-sum situation to you, and we're going to take care of it. But they got uncomfortable and left. And then we got another buyer like 5 days later, so it was okay. But those people are totally known about it. Everything's okay, but there's no assessment. So even though the assessment hasn't been done yet, we know it's coming. So we have to disclose that. You can't hide that, right?
Absolutely.
Right. That's really important. So now the other thing is property insurance. The fourth thing, right, Paul, is property insurance. So I have strong opinions of what I think you're going to say about property insurance, but from the attorney's perspective, what does a buyer need to know about property insurance that before they purchase?
So the first thing is you have to know that if you're financing a purchase, you're going to have windstorm. There's another form of hurricane insurance that's now out there in the marketplace. That's a little different than the windstorm coverage. That's much cheaper than the windstorm coverage, but it's just for basically covering for major losses.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to know the cost of insurance down here is much different than the cost of insurance up north.
Yep.
You know, we have hurricanes and they don't. That's a big deal. You also need to know about flood insurance, which is as important as regular insurance, depending on where you are.
So that's the fifth thing, and this is our secret bonus tip. Is
Oh,
the
okay.
flood insurance, if you don't mind, if we
No.
talk about that first. So with the, we had a caller call in just recently, and they live on one of the Barry Islands, and they bought a not expensive house for the area they're in, and it was older, and they wanted to fix it up. And what they're concerned about is they're in a flood zone because they're on, in an intercoastal area. And there's a rule when you're trying to renovate a home that I think it's called the substantial improvement rule is what it's called.
Yep.
And it's 50%, but I don't know what the 50% is based off, Paul. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Right. Could you tell me how that works?
Sure, it's based on the improvement value.
Mhm.
So if you go to the property appraiser's office and you're looking at any of these older homes, and it might not be an inexpensive home. I'll give you an example like Manalapan.
Mhm.
Client is looking at a home, $8 million valuation. The land is worth
I was going to
$7.6
say $8 million.
$400,000 for the
Structure.
value of the structure because it's been up for 25 years, 30 years,
Right.
and really probably past its useful life. But if you look at the outside of the home, it's a beautiful home, and they've continued to upkeep it, so it's in good shape. But technically, unless you take other action, you can only put in 50% of $400,000
200.
in any 1 year. So you could only make $200,000 of improvements on that house
Per year.
per year.
Okay, so you
okay,
could keep
per year.
doing it, but
Right.
it's limited that year.
I
Got it.
didn't know that. That's something I learned right there.
So what I tell clients to do, you're always allowed to go out and get an appraisal
Mhm.
and then go back to the municipality and say, I know that the property appraiser has this on there at $400,000, but frankly, it's an $80,000 roof that was just put on,
Right.
2 years ago. So it's not just worth 400,000.
Yeah, it's-
And in fact, I'm going to value this improvement at 1.2 million. And you get an appraiser to say that the replacement cost on this house would be $1.2 million. Now you can put $600,000
Per
in that year.
Per year.
And Jim, you were saying you can do more, but it's you have to. What happens if you wanted to do more than that, or you just can't do it?
Well,
Raise up the house
what you have
Yeah.
to do is
You have to tear it down, right?
or raise it up.
Yeah.
I mean, there are these companies now that will come in and take an old historic home and put it on wheels and take it off the site and build up the lot to 8 feet, which is the minimum required.
Oh, so it's
by
no longer in a
Manalapan.
flood zone.
Put the house back on it. Now you can make as many improvements as you want.
Wow.
most people though were usually tearing those houses down though and starting over, right? Do you see many people lifting the houses up?
If it's in a historic,
Well, yes, of course, because
Yeah.
you have to, because you can't
Yeah.
tear it down, right? I'm selling one of those right now, so.
What do they do with the home? They put it like yesteryear village or something? Like
they'll just store it. They'll put a tarp over it and store it wherever
Put it
they
in
can
a-
store it.
put it in a warehouse somewhere? That's
pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
Who has to pay for the store that?
And they do.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly difficult because
They gotta
have you
take
ever
down
seen
power
one of
lines.
these houses?
Yeah.
I've had clients have to move houses in downtown West Palm Beach out towards some of the Roosevelt neighborhoods kind
Mhm.
of thing.
Mhm.
And it's it's a real process.
I was gonna say more. How do they move it to the storage instead of like even storing it? Like, how do you transport a giant
Well,
home?
if you get lucky, one of your neighbors has a vacant lot,
Yeah, something
and you
like
can
that.
put it on there, and you
Yeah.
get a
don't have
variance
to
for 3
travel.
months.
Yeah.
That answers my question. Can I, if so, in this scenario, if I'm like, I'm going to go buy a plot of land out in the Glades in Bell Glade,
Mhm.
and I'm going to move my historic home out there, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
long as the house doesn't fall
And-
apart on the way out
And
there.
you're going to do it on a Sunday morning. And why? Because that's
Less
when
traffic.
most people aren't on the roads.
Yeah.
Because FP&L
Mhm.
has to follow you every intersection.
Oh wow.
That's an
The
undertaking.
height of these things, they have
Yes.
they figure out the best path for you to take
Yeah, how can you get there?
to have the least amount of disruption to the grid. And you have to coordinate with CSX Railroad, with
Oh my gosh.
FEC Railroad. If it's going over a bridge, with the FDEP,
Wow.
they everything, and they calculate the load, and they have to figure out what bridges you're going over that can take that kind of load.
Yeah.
It's very
As you're
complicated.
speaking, I'm just seeing
I-
dollar
yeah.
signs
I
flying.
know,
around.
but
That
I
is a-
covered it. I covered a
Wow.
couple
Yeah,
of
you
those
got real
moves in
money for that.
Delray
Real
with the
money.
historic homes, and they were moving them in older neighborhoods in Delray, and they were pulling out, and we would cover it as a story. And I was amazed that when they were taking them, they have to take, like Paul said, taking down power lines, so that they don't have a problem with things, and then putting them back up again.
Most of these
right
things
there.
are wood framed houses.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
old
yeah,
wood
sure.
The
frame houses.
chance of that thing standing during this process is unbelievable.
It's
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Wow.
I hear the stress of the people actually moving the house. It's so stressful for them because so many things could go wrong that could just make it just like crumble like a house of
Yeah.
cards sometimes.
Of course.
Right?
You
Yeah.
spend
And-
all
and
this
it's-
time, all this money,
Yeah.
You got to
and
really
there's
love
still
it.
a chance that it.
Yeah.
Yep. When it's all said and done.
So
My
this is the
gosh.
thing. So and this is the other thing I learned about that substantial reform renovation rule. It's all flood zones. When we first learned about this, and I forgot about it, but it's when Paul and I went down to the Keys and we were dealing with a couple of people there, and Paul was able to help out this nurse who was really in big trouble at the time. And she had the problem where it was called insurance churning back then. And then after the hurricane, the hurricane insurance company and the flood insurance company were saying it's the other problem,
Just
other
pointing
person's
fingers.
problem. It was
Pointing
called
fingers at each
insurance
other.
At each
churn.
other, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
at each other. It's him.
Hey, it's rising water. It's called the flood company. Hey, it was the roof ripped off. Call the windstorm company,
Yeah.
and nobody was paying anything.
No, just
Paul
call
worked
it
on
a
that case for a very long time, but that poor woman, her house was more than 50% damaged. So they would have had it to lift the house, right, Paul, or tear it down and build a new one.
So there's another 50% rule, and it's not the 50% value of the improvements. It's if more than 50% of your house is damaged in an event, that they say you got to tear it down, you got to build it up to above the floodplain, and then put something else on there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a 50% rule that they've been really tough on, because they know it's like New Orleans with these levee properties. It gets ruined, and you give people FEMA money to rebuild. Well, you can't rebuild it right there.
No.
It's just going to happen
We're
again.
gonna do
Yeah.
this again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think that person I talked to you about the barrier island and got the advice that she's probably in that she probably can't do as many improvements as she wants, to maybe it's worth talking to you to see if she could reevaluate her property or something to get a higher amount?
There are some really good appraisers out there, and first you want to get that appraisal to know what is the value of those improvements.
Mhm.
And if the county says it's $300,000, but you can have an appraiser say it's $800,000, that gives you the difference between 1.5 and $400,000. $150,000 and $400,000, and that may allow her to do everything she needs to do.
So
What
like
does
if-
that do to your tax, though, if anything? Like, you now sliding into a much higher tax bracket on your property?
Well, if you're going to put $400,000 into your property, you better know that the property appraiser's office is linked to the building permit process.
Yeah.
So you pulled a building permit for $400,000. They know that's a substantial renovation, and they're allowed to increase your property $400,000 on the improvement side.
Yeah, so there is some give with that take, potentially. Yeah.
Since I've got Jared on the show, I wanted to ask you a question that is very basic. When somebody buys or sells a property in, let's say, 2026, and they're filing their taxes in 2027, what do they need to tell their accountant, if anything?
They need to tell their accountant that they bought a new property.
And why is that important that they do that?
Because there's tax benefits associated with it. We want to start a basis schedule for the property to show, what the cost of it was. So we want to get the closing statement to put it on file, because that's where the basis comes from. And the basis is basically what you paid for it, right? And that's what you use to determine your gain or loss. So it'd be good to know moving forward if they're doing any improvements to it, so we can update that basis schedule. And then also the mortgage interest and the taxes are deductible.
Mhm.
There's a real estate tax adjustment on the closing statement that needs to be taken into consideration for taking the real estate tax deduction. And the mortgage interest, is also deductible. So we would need the mortgage interest statement. So if they didn't tell us about that and they didn't give us a change of address, we wouldn't know about it.
You wouldn't know,
I
right?
mean, we have an organizer that asks those specific questions. So if the clients take the time to answer the questions, we would know about it.
But
What about refi? How about a refi? You need to know about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that
Good question.
would be a new, maybe before we had their mortgage interest was coming from new res, and now they did a line of credit or they did a refi. They give us the new res mortgage interest statement, but it's only got a half a year of interest on it because they switched to a new lender. So we would really need the 2 1098s or with the mortgage interest, so we can make sure we get the right amount.
And what's the rule now? Is it $750,000?
Yeah, 750,000. Anything over that, the interest is not deductible.
Okay, but you can have $1 million mortgage,
Yes,
but you only get a deduction for the
for the
750,000.
750,000. Yep, that's correct.
Okay, and then for sellers, other than the capital gains, obviously, if there is one, is there any other thing when a seller's telling you, "Hey, I sold my house last year"?
Yeah.
Is there anything besides capital gains that?
Yeah, I mean, it depends if it's a residential or a rental.
Let's
Because
say it's a homesteaded property.
A homesteaded.
Yeah, let's just say that kind.
yeah, we want to make sure. I mean, even though you're getting that 250 or the 500,000, we want to make sure that we know that that's, we're calculating the right gain calculation. And to do that, we need to know what the improvements were to the property, right? We want to make sure they have an idea of how much they paid to get the property to the state it was in when they sold it.
Okay, awesome. And then for the capital gains, just everybody else asks this. So let's say I sell a house for $500,000 and I only owed out the door $250, or let's say I only owed $200, and I'm getting a check for $300,000 in my pocket. Does that mean I'm definitely paying capital gains because I made $300,000 on the
No,
sale?
I think that's a big misconception.
everybody
Like you're
thinks
saying, I
that,
think a lot
yeah.
of people think I'm getting whatever my net proceeds are at closing. That's my gain.
Mhm.
And it can be completely different for a wide variety. Your gain on the sale of the property is going to be your sales price less closing cost, less cost basis, which is the cost of the property and the improvements. And that could be completely different based on how much you put down and how much you financed.
So
What
like,
amount of backup do you ask your clients to have for the improvements?
Well, we always tell our clients, look, we're happy to keep all of the substantiation and the support for you and keep it on file. So if you have it, send it to us, right? But you're the one signing the return. So, so if you're telling me you did, 150,000 of improvements, I need an email from you. I'd like to have the support. So we could save it with it. But, I don't require that they have to give me a specific, besides something from them confirming the amount. And I try to encourage them to have as much support for it.
So somebody like Johnny, I I know you're not going to meet the capital gains on your house, but you did a lot of work to your house over the years, right? He put in AC, and he resurfaced pool, put in a fence, put in, I think, impact windows.
and doors.
Yeah.
You know, he had a car drive through his house.
Yeah,
so he had
a couple times.
yeah.
Drive through.
He had a drive-through house at one point. So he's done a lot of work on the house over the years. If he was in that situation where he was in the capital gains bracket, that could all be stripped out, correct? Like all that stuff could be stripped out.
Yeah, as long as he had spent money on, those improvements, or they were going towards the closing cost, all those type of things, reduce that gain.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Hey, can we I know we only got, how much time are we at?
Yeah, about 2 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes?
2, 3 minutes.
In 2 minutes or less, Paul, tell me what the heck is going on with the student loan debt reduction
Yeah, that'd be
stuff,
great.
because I don't know what's going on. There's so many changes I read in the paper, and I don't know.
I couldn't possibly read my 2 pages of notes in 2
I know,
minutes,
2
but
minutes. I'm sorry.
here's the oversight.
Mhm.
The overview is that the government, this administration, doesn't want people to get benefit of savings on the
Okay.
student loans.
Mhm.
They've gutted the SAVE plan, which was the best option.
Mhm.
If you're not in the IDR plan today, you're not going to get into it anymore.
Really? So you can't even get into
They've
it
closed
anymore.
it. They're coming out with a new plan, repayment assistance plan. They haven't told what it's going to be about. They haven't told when they're going to do it. I don't think they want to do it. I think they're just putting that out there so they don't get in trouble.
Mhm.
But I've screamed about this for 10 years,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
nobody listens. And so the people who are, who should have done it have missed their time.
Are you grandfathered in if you were in?
Yeah.
You can keep going as long as you read
There
about
are
every
some
year.
plans that they're stopping. And you have to transition from those to the other plans.
Gotcha.
What the heck would happen if you're in a plan for 10 years and you've been paying very little or nothing, and the idea is in 20 years you would walk away not owing anything,
Right.
and
They're trying
then
to
they
push
kick
it to
you out of
30
the
years.
program. 30
They're
years?
trying to make you pay 10 more years. And then the other thing, last piece, what Molly, and I know you know she's great.
Yes.
She does all of our student loan negotiations now. She said, if you can, switch to an IBR plan ASAP.
What's that?
If you're in anything else, there's a risk that it gets closed down.
Interest-based repayment? Is that what
Yeah.
that is? Okay.
And
Johnny, look.
and so that's the best advice we have today. We don't know what it's going to be tomorrow or the next day. We don't even know if they're going to implement these things because the Department of Education wants to go away.
K economy right now, right?
Oh,
The haves
man,
and the have-nots.
that
right?
is terrible
But
news.
it's very sad. It's
It
very
is.
sad. And
Yeah.
the kids coming out of school today, all they can do is try to qualify for whatever there is
Yeah.
and try to make it.
I get asked all the time if there's any options. It sounds like there isn't right now. Not many for anybody unless they were already in it.
The IBR is the best thing to do today.
Yeah.
We can always switch if another plan becomes available,
Gotcha.
but to actually look at it and not put your head in the sand.
So the reality is it's not as good as it once was. It's not as good as it has been. But there's still some chance. You just got to reach out to people.
you got to
that
look
are-
at it.
Yeah, and understand that, like Jim noted earlier, if you go to a bankruptcy attorney, that bankruptcy attorney is going to say bankruptcy. That's your option. You got to go to somebody that understands. Like Paul has been championing this for so
Mhm.
long,
Yeah.
and really you couldn't advertise it like you wanted to. Like I understand why there wasn't a response, but man, the people that have been listening to this radio show long enough, man, if you didn't respond, it hurts my guts. But it's not too late. There's still some out there for you. Get the professional guidance, floridatalkrealestate.com. Understand what options still remain for you.
A free consultation, a written summary of what you're going to save before
right.
you have to pay us a nickel.
Yep.
So it's worth calling and
We've
seeing
helped
what we could do.
So much
It
people
al-
save money.
It always has been well worth your time.
Now it just might be worth your time.
It's worth your time. Now it's worth your time.
Oh my
Facts. Guys, thanks for your time today. And thanks for being with us on a Saturday. Always good to know that you're tuning in on Facebook, on YouTube, on the radio. Thank you. Always hit the share buttons, the like buttons, because you can change lives, including your very own with the pros of floridatalkrealestate.com. Jimothy, our producer extraordinaire, my brother, thanks for everything. Always have a great weekend.
Thank you, Johnny. Have a great weekend. Paul, good to see you. Jared, is always a pleasure. And Jim, have a great weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Paul Krasker, I hope you have an excellent weekend. Thank you for your time on this Saturday. Thank you. Law offices of Paul A. Krasker. Of course, Jared Perry with Perry Group CPA LLC. Always a pleasure to have you in, and I hope you find some fun this weekend.
Oh, I am. I'm actually taking today off the rest of the day. So I'll be working tomorrow, but
Nice.
Get yourself
going on the boat today.
excellent. I hope it's fantastic out there. And Jimmy D, Jim DePolo with the Florida Home Pros team. I hope you have an excellent weekend. Thanks for everything always.
Thank you. Unlike Jared, see you, Carrie. See you, Robert. See you, Doug. See you, Stephanie. I'll see you all showing properties today.
I was going to invite you to come. but-
Yeah, no, showing properties all day.
No, that would have been the time to invite him. He's got those hits, yeah.
Hey, this is the time, buddy. Everything's about me today. Oh, no, you can't go? Next time. Great to have you with us. Always remember FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, the one-stop real estate shop. Know it, use it, love it, share it. Change lives, including your very own, with the pros of FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. We'll see you next Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate, right here on Real Radio.